Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is it, the final game of the day. If we're gonna have a close game that goes to 40 minutes, 50 minutes, this has to be it. And not only are we hoping for a long game, a dramatic game, it is a storied one. Not only is it a grassroots Danish organization versus what was formerly known as Dems Boys as they were signing up for Telia Esport Series Denmark Summer, now known as Nativz, an Irish organization who in my heart do still have some Danish pride about them as they did compete in the Danish league for the rest of 2021. It's a banger matchup. I'll leave you to say some things about it, Rude.
Yeah, Fløng versus Nativz. You can take the majority of the lead on this because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of Danish roots in both of these teams. Obviously, Fløng themselves coming from, as you said, grassroots organization. They have worked their way through every single tournament that Denmark has to offer. They go through every single situation that they've been through and pulled themselves up to now be in a Division 2. And they're 3-2 so far. They're still in that top 6 area for the time being, but everybody's looking to try and take them down. And I know that the players themselves value this matchup quite a lot.
It's a matchup that the players, that the staff care about. Before I dive deeper into Fløng, there is a bet as well between the head of LoL for Fløng. He will get a tattoo of Nativ's logo and the analyst Milo's name if they lose. If Fløng win and Nativ's lose, Nativ's analyst, aka Milo, will be shaving his beard. So a lot of stuff is on the line here. But to talk more about Fløng as an organization, this is an organization, the second I joined Danish League of Legends, had been there for years. They love League of Legends. They breed League of Legends. They breathe, not breathe. That sounds so wrong. God damn it, I messed it up. Anyway, though, to dive deep into it, when I joined, it was obviously a different name, but this owner has been there since the beginning. It is pure love for esport, League of Legends, that have kept them going through relegation and promotion. They've had teams that are super teams. They've beaten them, and they've grown every single time. And we know they love League of Legends. They've been here for so long, and I can't stress enough how happy I am to see them play in NLC Division 2. Finally, with a roster that is capable of performing at the top level, but so far, they just haven't hit the same page. They've only won through strong individual performances.
Yeah, I think that for Fløng right now, their issue has been team play. That's for sure. That the sort of coming together of all 5 pieces has certainly not looked as strong as, for example, Nativz, who on the flip side only took their first defeat on Tuesday up against Orbe Esport. So a defeat that they weren't expecting, but one that they sustained nonetheless. And I think that coming into this draft now, as we should focus our attention on what we've got to see.
Yeah, exactly. So many things.
Is the top lane, right? I don't think that I'm putting anybody down here by saying that Lundorf versus Vangsted is probably one of the most excited, hyped up matchups that we've got for these players.
Every single time you see these players butting heads up in the top lane, it could be a brawl. These are 2 of the best Danish top laners at ERL level. The series is left open in the draft, and it is locked in. Guffe, someone who has played a lot of weak side this split, but we know if he gets a strong side, if he gets ahead, he can take over the game. We saw it once against Australis back in Telia Esport Series Denmark Spring 2021, 18-3, I believe, as he goes in, gets 3 kills in a 1v4 as an AD carry. We know this man can take over.
Okay, and the gauntlet. This is good. Okay, this is maybe the answer to Zeri that we've been waiting to see. So far, people, I don't know that there is an answer to Zeri just yet. And the Lucian coming through could well be what we're looking to punish the laning phase with. Typically, Zeri's weakest point is if you can get on top of her and really punish her in that laning phase. My concern is that we've still got Yuumi open, and Zeri-Yuumi as a duo is one that has been tearing up comp play, solo queue, everything. Is one of the best supports to pair up with this AD carry to just facilitate her even more so. So with that potentially being an option, maybe expect Fløng to look there. We've got the Gragas locked in as well for Nativz, and we know that Nativz here, they've got this this big theory around Dem Diff, the draft diff for Nativz. Maybe that is something that we're going to expect to see once again, but they look like at the minute with a Gragas on pick of choice, could go top lane, could go support, could go into the jungle as well.
So if you're confused why they have locked in the Lucian, obviously it can be played in the mid lane. But if you think Yop is only a weak side player, you are mistaken. Him and Clarks back on M&M in spring, or summer rather, of 2021, hard carried that M&M roster. They took them to second place in UKLC. They took them to Telia Masters on the back of this bot lane's performance. We haven't needed to see them play strong side yet, but maybe that will change today. The Gragas is locked in, could be Lundorf maybe playing the weak side here, and Joppa getting his chance to shine instead.
I think that for Lundorf here, the fact that we potentially see him on a weak side is a benefit to Fløng, because we saw what a weak side Lundorf looked like on Tuesday, and it was maybe a little bit different from what we were expecting from him, playing the Ornn, I believe, and not necessarily performing too well here. But on the flip side, we have got this Syndra locked on in, so another solo laner locked in, secured for Nativz. Picking up that one into the Orianna typically has been touted as very Orianna, or as fairly Syndra favoured, as the two mid laners. This used to be a staple mid lane classic, so getting the Syndra pick up in this side of the matchup, one that Nativz should be happy with.
The supports are being banned out with every single grasp on that they have on the ban. So 2 out of 2 bans in the latter stages of that second ban phase being removed. Maybe 3, no. Nativz Camille get removed, an important ban. Something that definitely needs to be banned away from him.
Yeah, and taking that Yuumi away as well, certainly something that I was happy to see. We'll have to see where the rest of the Fløng bans go. Jarvan going to be the final one on the board, and I'm quite happy with that. I mean, getting rid of it for your Ori certainly makes sense, but Zeri has a free way to get over the Cataclysm, so we'll have to see if that was just a pure, okay, this is the only other S-tier jungler left. We still got Viego that still exists, could well be taken for Nativz. This also still could be Gragas jungle. It's been fairly dropped off in terms of its priority in season 11 and 12, but still a possibility to put it back there in his natural habitat. Of course, unless we're going all the way back to like season 3, season 4 when he was a mid laner. But it's going to be the Nautilus locked on in, and I love this pickup into hyper carries, into the things like the Aphelios, like the Jinx, like the Zeri here. Because you press R, she gets CC'd. There's nothing that she can do, regardless of her movement speed. Eventually it catches up.
Yeah, that's actually a very good thing to say, because eventually it will catch up with her in the end. The Thresh gets locked in. Now, obviously, I've been casting in the Danish scene for a while, but since 2019, back in the Danish scene, Rottebenki did play, and I have been calling him the best Thresh in Denmark ever since then, and until someone knocks that crown out of him, I will continue to call him the best Thresh we have in my humble little country of Denmark. So, an exciting matchup as players are getting their comfort picks, they're getting what we know they're good at, but the top laners, the matchup we wanted to see, both be carries, it looks like they're thrown on tank duty.
we just heard Ericsson say that him versus Chimera is going to be Karma Lulu. This is the top lane equivalent. This is the equivalent in the top lane. If this isn't, if this Gragas doesn't get flexed,
they're doing him dirty.
I think they should. I think they really should try and punish this on. Whenever you take it, it's certainly something that you can look to punish. This would have even been a really good Janna Smite top game, because versus an Ornn, this is exactly the type of situation where you would take it, where the top laner isn't going to hard punish you and take your turret within 5-10 minutes. But either way, they take GP, which is the staple answer to the Ornn pick, not because it's going to slam the Ornn in laning phase, but because it scales up with the Ornn, and in the late game team fights can be a very big threat. And this is something actually from Nativz that I hadn't particularly considered, but they can flex around their mid and AD carry as well. Syndra has worked as a bot laner, Lucian has worked as a mid laner for time at this point, and taking the Lucian into the Orianna, maybe something that they want to do, taking the Syndra into the Zeri and operating with a kill lane, certainly something that they can do, because the Nautilus CC into Syndra CC, very potent, and again, can be scary if you're looking at this from a Fløng perspective.
That is interesting. I will note that in the entirety of Yoppa's professional career, he has had 1 Syndra game, and he lost.
Okay.
0% win rate. That means Nativz has lost this game right now, of course. But just so you know, he has played it before, so it's not too weird as we are heading into this game. Normally, this is where I would let you talk about draft and everything, but you'll have to wait for just half a minute, because I want to talk a bit about some of the players here. Now, though, the top lane, we've talked about Bangster, we've talked about Lundorf. Obviously, the matchup didn't quite pan out the way we hoped, but I want to talk about the jungler Snille. Telly Esport to Sweden champion with unique win to Telly Masters. Then, from that disappointing tournament, went on to join the Bifrost roster, which got second in the Telly League, while they only lost to Riddle's main team, the NLC boys. And then, on the other hand, we have Shafty, a young talent who has grinded himself through all the Danish tiers and spent years finally praying to get his chance. When he got it on Protecting Guardians last split, he smurfed, they reached the finals, he got MVP of the split. He is still and will forever be the MVP of Denmark.
Yeah, and he had an incredible game on Tuesday. He was the reason that Verdant didn't end up capitalizing on their early game advantages and taking their win. He just played Jarvan, Cataclysm, 3 people, and bought so much time throughout the duration of that match. But we have obviously got another game to go on, so we won't harp too much on Tuesday's performance. But it does go to show you that both of these junglers can really make the difference. And I know that, like we've said, the players are excited for this matchup. I'm excited for this matchup. I know that you are as well, Duckling. That either one of these two teams can make it happen. I want to touch a little bit back on why Fløng have maybe been struggling a little bit more so far. 3-2, obviously still a good record, but we talked about it going in that they have a tendency to play their own 5-man game, or that all 5 players have their tendency to play their own game. I think that in this composition, when you've drafted Orianna Ornn, you have to play together. There's simply no way to go Ori Ornn and then not be a 5-man cohesive unit. This is going to be that test for Fløng to see whether or not they've deciphered those communication differences and if they can really put their pedal to the metal and put a bit of a win on the board on display here up against Nativz, who have been looking exceptional this entire split.
And this is not only something you're theorizing about. Just last week, after Flink added another defeat to their name, I talked with Shafty, and he mentioned the exact same thing. They just weren't on the same page. He knew that his new teammates in Rotebenki, Erol, and Mangster had high skill ceilings, had so good mechanical peaks. He was talking about how it would have worked sometimes in scrims, but when they were on the stage, they just didn't know how to play the game. They hadn't agreed on that one way, that one book they wanted to read, because they just had 5 different ideas from 5 different players instead of all agreeing, this is the way we want to play. I asked him, can you fix it in a week for your big games against Nativz? He said yes. Hopefully they have, because then we're in for a treat.
He said yes. And I mean, if Tuesday's game is anything to go off of, then hey, they've put themselves in a pretty good spot for that as well, to have at least started changing those things around. It all here, I want to keep our eyes on him in the mid lane because he's been put into, I'll say, a fairly rough matchup for himself. I think that all of these matchups are actually fairly difficult for Fløng here. Taking a look across the board, counterpick was pretty much decided on all sides for Nativz. They were able to get themselves this Syndra into Zeri matchup down in the bot lane. They got Lucian into Ori, and it was a GP also into the Ornn. So they kind of got their pick of the litter in terms of their laning assignments. We're expecting 3 winning lanes, or at least 3 lanes that they know how to move, which kind of gives Snilly the pick of the litter in terms of what he wants to do, where they want to focus on their objectives.
Lundorf bullying Vangsted. Vangsted didn't have that good of a first game this week. He did also play the Ornn. He went like 0-5, but hey, he did manage to play the late game team fights pretty well and found one huge E. Now though, in a counter matchup against the top laner, who's almost a clone of himself, he knows what's gonna happen. He's being poked out, almost taken down to a level 1 gangplank.
Oh, okay. Yeah, level 1 GP, actually really strong. Trial by Fire plus the parlays is more than enough to bully out the majority of top laners, and so far he's done a very good job at putting Vangsted down. It was the refillable potion opening as well, so it was an incredibly squishy Ornn for the first level. Needed to get himself that 150 gold in so that he could then go, a little bit out of vision, forge himself the Doran's shield, which is a start that we tend to see fairly frequently, and now we'll have a little bit of laning capability. But it looks like with the position of this wave, Lundorf is going to have a really good window to push this wave under the turret, shove about 10-15 minions underneath the tier 1, get a reset. He won't have to burn his TP and can come back with something like a Cull, like a Sheen even, to be in an even better position to try and punish this Ornn. Yeah, puts his wave in, he's got his ward down, he knows he can base, and this is a free recall. Especially at this timing as well. Shafty just reached the topside crab. This is optimum ganking window, particularly since the wave is already shoved in. Lundorf is in a really good position already. He doesn't take the recall, never mind. But now he can get ganked. Look at Shafty.
See, that is a Lundorf and Vangsted thing. They feel like confident enough to outplay the play and therefore don't go for the normal decision. Now, let's see, will this be punished? Will Lundorf go down? Will he find a way to outplay it? Vangsted is pretty low, Shafty is recalling, but they spot out Lundorf. No, they don't actually, because Shafty recalls in a weird position. And he is able to get away with murder there.
I'm baffled at the minute. This was one of those things that was just so close to being perfect, but just not quite managing. Okay.
Anyway, continue your point.
They- it was so close to being good from both sides, right? Like in my ideal of what would have happened here, Lundorf would have taken the reset earlier and then gone back and then denied Shafty's gank, but he doesn't take the reset, and then Shafty has the perfect window to go in for the gank. Obviously, Fangstead was fairly low, so it would have been slightly risky, but would have been worthwhile to get the kill had they got it. Turns out neither of the two eventualities come to fruition, and we just see Lundorf continue to bully the Ornn on the top side, so it is what it is, and so far, very minimal action has happened through the duration of this game, despite what could have been a very tense opening couple of minutes. These top laners sort of left to themselves, and with that notion then that I talked about that, hey, these early game lanes should be fairly strong for Nativz, expecting this composition to get slightly outscaled. The Zeri in the late game, if we're judging in terms of AD carry to AD carry here, not necessarily mid laner or bot laner to bot laner, the Zeri will be pumping out more DPS than that Lucian, is the idea at least between them. And similarly, the impact that an Orianna Shockwave can have in the late game, hard to mirror if you are Yopper on this Syndra. Not impossible, you can hit very big scatters that set you up for that success, but it is a lot more difficult to execute on. As we get later into the game, of course, the ease of execution, the Ornn Ori team fighting, is simply in Fløng's favor.
So, Fløng, having to survive this early game first Drake, is up. Roll doesn't have a shockwave, so can't quite cancel that culling. Almost going down the way, will crash underneath his turret. Likely the Drake going over to the side of Nativz. Should be able to step up here though and take a few minutes away, unless Rulle, Mr. Consistent, is able to find the right engage. Normally on the control mages that try to unlock his own team instead of playing for himself, but this day is a different one as Bengi almost goes down. A dash forward and a first blood for Rulle. Shafty could be in trouble as well. Rulle does have the shockwave but doesn't fancy the fight at 2v3. It's not a situation they want to see themselves in.
Really good from Nativz here. They're using these lane assignments, these priorities that they've drafted for themselves to roam into the enemy's jungle, to roam and pick up those kills. Rodabengi, unfortunately, the first casualty of that early game for Nativz.
Shafty.
They get the dragon as well. Although they may well get the dragon. There is a ward on this.
This is a Shafty play. He's going to get in and he's going to try to steal it. 900 HP. Goes in. A few more autos. Snilla is so low. But the CC chain is strong. He doesn't. Oh, he did have smite. He got it back up. And he's able to take it. Now Shafty is so low. Rulle dashes forward. Able to take down one. No, not yet. The shields. The safeguard. Oh, the cask. Rulle flashes forward. But doesn't get the kill. Could be in trouble. The shockwave. Oh my god. That feels bad as he flashed a bit too far forward. Erol picks up the kill. And he evens out the kill score in the mid lane.
It's so rare we see a smite fighter.
Oh, the two top laners, but the Ornn. Horn! No, he missed it. Is that too big? The oranges heals Lundorf up and another parlay, but it's not enough. Neither top laner has the damage. Vangstedt would have got that kill.
Both of them go down here. There was a good flash from Lundorf to change the orientation, but you're right. Vangstedt missing the R2 never had the chance to get the kill. And our top laners, despite it supposedly being a fairly safe one-way matchup, are still going to be duking it out, still going to be battling it out. We have got a replay of, I believe, the first blood here to come on through. Rodabengi just caught on vision, and despite the flay coming through, a lot of damage. And yeah, there we go. The cannon barrage on top of that, I mean, Rulle, he can't really lose that. There's no way.
Yeah, Rulle takes the freebie. I don't know if I just lost Root. His microphone just cut for a second.
I'm here.
Okay, you're here. Good. Okay, I got scared because normally when your microphone cuts, it's just like a few seconds and I can still get your point. But that time, it was because you ended your sentence and the mic cut. I was like, no, I think I lost him this time. But I did not. I did not. We will lose the Herald, however, as it is Nativz that will be looking to take that. 3-man rotation. Clocks is here and they're just taking it for free. I like the fact that Nativz are putting pressure on Rulle. He is obviously playing here against his former teammate, Rodabengi. They played together on Australia's Talent back in Telia Esport Series Denmark in 2021. But also, Rulle, as I mentioned earlier, he's a player that normally plays around the team. He does have a few teams, the Yone, the Lucian as well, where he is someone who is soaking up resources and not giving them out to other players on his team. But this is a change from what Nativz has done earlier. Because before it was all about the Lundorf show. They wanted Lundorf to be the main carry. Yopper, Rulle, we saw just Tuesday, both Yopper and Rulle were on support just because Lundorf will be the main carry. But in this crucial game for both of these teams, they're changing it up, both of them, playing around different sides of the map.
And I want to highlight Yopa quickly on this bot side. Has been left fairly much to pretty much to his own devices.
Bada bingy. Connects the death sentence because of course he does. The best thrush in Denmark, as I said earlier, connects with the death sentence and gives the kill over to Sadie carry Gofe. If he starts
Really
to snowball, it will be crucial.
Yeah, just a really nice, really easy to execute gank right there. Clocks doesn't have flash, so if he gets picked up, gets caught out, Lee Sin has more than enough damage to take down this.
Is coming up towards the top side. Vangster doesn't have flash, doesn't have a way out. I think he's just dead here. The QE comes through, the bellows breath, and not enough damage. Lundorf gets the kill, a crucial kill to get him rolling.
+2 gold as well for that one. Last hitting with the parlay. You love to see those. Getting his way toward those, or getting some more silver serpents as well. And the plates too. The plate's going to be denied here, or even given.
Oh, Shafty doesn't decide to go for the engage, looks for the safeguard, maybe no. The blast cone instead, but he wants this fight. There is no TP. The Sonic Wave connected. Shafty. That's why he was MVP of Denmark, man. That was clean.
That was good. That was really nice to see as well. Red Smite comes through to add insult to injury, but just cleanly Sin play. There's nothing more to say about that. That Q was a thing of beauty to connect that one. And a little clap back there from Fløng here, showing that their individual capabilities are very, very present. Now we've got Yopa down on the spot side. He's going to be able to farm a plate for himself. I wanted to touch briefly once again on sort of what he's been doing down here, because he, flashed forward into the Drake pit around that first little skirmish we had and picked up an assist for himself, but has been left fairly isolated on his own because Clocks, as we've seen, was able to roam, get first blood, roamed up and took the Herald. I want to credit Yopa here for being in this position where he is more than fine with his CS. He's, down in items technically. We've got Trinity Force already completed for Gofe, so he's in a very good spot as a Zeri. But we've got Herald being spawned in this mid lane right now, and there's nobody here to defend it quite yet. So that's 3 plates that have just gone over to Nativz. Roulette and Snille have just picked those up without really any contest.
Snille is playing AP Gregors, by the way.
Good. Let's go.
He's going damage. I like that. A lot of damage in this game when I really think about it, because I thought the Gregors would be the tanky guy, but no, he's damage as well. Natives are full damage. 10 seconds to the Ocean Drake. Second Drake for Natives if they want to pick it up, and they do have control around the area, so should be able to. Maybe Shafty can make some miracles, but he's looking towards the top side instead. Yeah,
it looks like this is going to be a give of the dragon. I thought that Snille was... I genuinely thought he was going to walk up and ulti the Ori and just go, hey, Edel, what are you going to do? Flash this, please. But that's not the case. And it's also worth noting that I much prefer AP Gragas than the tank Gragas, since you're operating under a lower economy as a jungler, and getting just those couple of AP items in, you're likely to still be able to dish out a fair whack of damage and have that high impact regardless of the build that you go for. And I think that just in general, AP items work a little bit better with that lower economy that you are operating under. Credit to Lundorf as well. He knows his team are getting Drake on the bot side. He doesn't see Shafty on the map, so he assumes, quite rightly, that he's up in this top lane. They don't want to give over another kill. Not going to give Shafty the satisfaction. Instead, I'll concede a plate. And they don't even get it this time round. Probably get it
next time. They'll get it next time. Mid lane. No. Oh. Ooh, I can't see what's happening, but Eron managed to survive. Snille did use the explosive cask, so they tried to knock him back into the team. Rolle didn't use the culling. Erolle didn't use his flash either, so crucial summoners and abilities still up for these mid laners.
I don't think there's anything to particularly play for. We have got Herald up in a few... he should be fine versus this Syndra. Syndra, one of the worst tank killers in the game, unfortunately. Particularly when there's no Liandry's completed just yet. It's worth noting that I really value Liandry's this game, given it works up against champions with higher HP. Shafty.
Clocks is not tanky in the early game. The Ornhorn this time hit back and does knock up Clocks even through the flash Shafty. I think the snowball himself does have the kick, sends right back into the team, but where is the team is my question, as Vangster isn't there. But Shafty, an MVP, doesn't need a team. He picks up 2 all by himself.
The most useless Warthog I have ever seen, but it was style points and I love it.
Clean. It looked clean.
He's able to find 2 kills. Yeah, I mean, the setup from Vangstead to knock up Clocks and make it so that he's pretty much negated from the entire fight. There's a Predator here, but I'm not quite sure to what avail. Okay, to a single cask, and then that's it. That makes sense.
Hype.
So first turret, excuse me, goes the way of Fløng here, and that communication between the team certainly coming to throws, as we do get a replay now of what happened up in that top side. You can see Shafty just again
Look at the
hops
on-horn
in.
though.
He's hitting these cues, and yeah, Ornhorn
He
follows
hits
the
it.
flash.
Oh my god.
Which is the most important part. Ulti doesn't happen to come through, and these side steps from Shafty are really good. Dodges out on the W, hits himself this Q, and then yeah, I mean, this is.
Where is it?
Oh, he dodges nothing. It's beautiful. Let's go.
He dodges air. It looks clean. It is beautiful. That is why he was the MVP of Denmark, by the way. That is why Vangstel could go down here. No, that dredge line did not hit, but it doesn't matter. The culling certainly does, and Rulle takes him down. That is another kill for the former Astralis mid laner Shafty. Doesn't quite have the kick yet, but could still be looking for clocks.
What?
That was blind. He just had his spider senses. They were tingling, and he manages to find the dredge line, but can't quite find anything else.
Yeah, it's
this
one of
game
those.
is delivering.
It's one of those. It's like when a Blitzcrank hooks the tank into your front line. You hook and you're like, I hope this doesn't hit. And then, you know, it hits the Lee Sin, and then they go, well, you know what? Maybe we've hit the hook, but we don't commit to this one just yet. And the presence of Shafty here in this game, 100% kill participation, can't be understated. We look across the rest of the team, you know, 2 KP across everywhere else. It is purely the Shafty show thus far for Fløng. And if you can commit to continuing this one, it's a little bit awkward to have all of your gold and all of your resources on the Lee Sin. But at the same time, he's been making the plays, and without him, the team wouldn't have as much gold in general. So we'll have to wait and see how he can commit to the game. Another replay of quite what happened here in this mid lane. As we see the TP come through, it's Vangstead that you know, sort of engages it all himself, and then looks for Rilla. Ah, yeah, okay. The classic no vision commit, and then this Nautilus hitbox.
That did not hit, but then again, like Vangsted ended by going in there with no vision. And we can continue to talk about these top laners a little because we hyped them up, but we haven't quite heard the full story. So the thing is, these top laners in a big league have never actually matched up against each other. Why? Because when Lundorf got successful in Spring Split in Denmark, he got exported out to Italy because Italy imports all our good players. So Lundorf, he went over there to an organization which ended up scamming him. But in the end, he got 3rd place in the league. He did very well. He was very good. But while that was happening over in Denmark, a new top laner was able to take the crown. Vangsted came up, did exactly what Lundorf did in spring, overperformed to the expectations people had of him, became one of the best tops in the league, and now they finally get to match up against each other.
And they've got Ornn on one side. How disappointing is that?
Yeah, it is very disappointing, honestly. The sentence connects, denies the dredge line. Clocks is being shredded. The lightning crash has been used. Okay, if he can get the stacking going, he will be strong. But Shockwave gone, lightning crash gone. I don't know if you want the fight at the end, but still, they do. CC up, and Rulle is gone, deleted. Fløng are actually playing like a team. It is not just 5 great individuals. It is one great team so far this game.
That's the perfect point here, Duckling. We asked Fløng, they needed to be a cohesive unit. They've drafted team fights in abundance. If they can't group up, they're not going to take this game. But when they look together, when they play these fights out as a 5-man cohesive unit, they're going to come out on top here. And for Nativz, all of their winning lanes, they have a 100 gold lead to show for it. And that's likely to dissipate with 2 members dead.
Another one. He hits them. He hits all of them. The beautiful kick as well. The Sonic Wave, not so much. Lundorf might get one back, but no, the Ignite is ticking. Is it enough? Clocks takes the kill. That's what a support always does, kids. Remember, they are always out for those kills. Anyway, though, a 1-for-1. This game has action. A close game in terms of goal lead. Wow, beautiful.
But I think Fløng here, they're in a really good position. We look across and we've said time and time again, their late game team fights should be the ones that outperform Nativz. Nativz have a much harder to execute composition just by the nature of their champions here that they've drafted. And we've got to...
Wait, where did the chef go? I'm sorry, but that weirded me out. Can we go back to the spawn? Please, just quickly. Read. I want to see that. I don't know if we can, but I think, yeah, the shop is gone. It's left. This game is too crazy. The shop doesn't even feel safe anymore being in the fountain. He knows how crazy this game is about to get. Let's get back to the action. That was just a weird side point. Anyway, what a banger of a game. No, he's gone. He's left as well. He's left the post. The ship couldn't move, but he's left. He's out of there. This game is too much. I can't.
I've never seen that before. I've never
seen that before. I've played League for half of my life, and I have never seen the shopkeeper say, "Screw this, I'm out."
He's off to Howling Abyss. He's had enough.
He's had enough. This is too crazy. I'll go play Aram instead.
I want to draw our attention to why Boris has left, and it's Lundorf's building the top lane. He's gone to restock on his agility cloaks because Lundorf
Okay.
currently has,
That
has
was
gone
too
to pick
clean.
up as many of those as possible. He's got the cull stacked as well. He's looking to do
Oh, bad.
the classic just stack crit on the GP. He's got gold for 2 more crit cloaks right now. So he can
Oh
quite
my
easily go pick
god.
those up. But the way that okay, Shafty, he didn't have flash, so I was curious as to where we were going with that one.
Oh,
But
on
we'll
horn. I don't
see.
know. I don't know why. There is no mana. A good cask denies the re-engage, and I think that is the smart choice there. Snille helping Fløng out a little bit. Bang still very eager to pull the trigger. I know we've talked about the top laners a lot, but that is the thing for both Lundorf and Bangster. Both very confident top laners, and when it works out, they're 1v9ing. They're destroying the entire game, but sometimes it fails. And we've seen that from Bangster quite a lot this week. Not as much from Lundorf, but we saw it from Lundorf on Tuesday when he was trying to do the flank, even though they should play front to back. But he believed that he could find the flank, and if he would have found the flank, he would have won on the game. But he was confident enough, he took the flip, and he didn't find the flank 2 times in a row, and they lost the game.
That was it was playing Camille in that instance. Obviously got a little bit overzealous, but he's on GP here this time round. Flanking, not particularly within the repertoire of a gangplank. Your front to back is very, very potent. And we don't see, quite what these crit cloaks are going into yet. The imagination is that one of them will be a Infinity Edge. The rest of them could really be anything, right? We've got the likes of Essence Reaver plus Lord Dominic's Regard, I think are the 3 that I would like to see, given the amount of HP that is going to be coming across for the Ornn as well. Certainly, expecting to see some HP hits come through. And that was also my point I wanted to make about Yoppa here on the Liandry's from way back when, is that Liandry's actually going to have a lot of value here this game. We've got 2 HP stackers in the Ornn and Lee Sin on the top side, but also Zeri loves to build HP. She goes for these Bruiser-esque items. We saw Titanic Hydra last game. We'd like to see it once again here. And all of the bonus HP that is being picked up is going to counteract Yoppa, or be countered by Yoppa's Liandry's here. A lot of value coming out of this.
I just also want to say, Guffe, like he normally does, hasn't been having too big of an impact, you think. But I just realized he's 4-1.
Yeah,
This is a
he's
Sari who's
scary.
4-1. He's scary. 1 minute until the next Drake. It is soul point for Native, second Drake for Fløng. If they get 4 Mountain Drakes, I don't know if there's any way they kill Bangster. Maybe with like 20 seconds of time, but that is a big investment. I do want to point out though, just before we start talking about how they play these team fights, this game, 1k goal difference at 22 minutes, the closest game by far today, and it is certainly delivering on the hype. So, Rude, just before the fight, who am I looking at for these team fights?
You're looking at Guffe. You want to be looking at this Zeri to see what she can do. And also Shafty. Shafty has been finding kicks left, right, and center. I want to see the playmaking that he's going to have. If you're looking at this from Nativz, eyes on Lundorf, eyes on Ruller, and eyes on Yoppa. All 3 carries have got agency. They've all got set up to take these fights. Ruller just hit 2 items, so could be a really big force in this fight. But with the Drake spawning in 13 seconds, it looks like mid lane priority going to go the way of Nativz. The question becomes, can they force their way back into the river? They've got Scuttle Crab, so they know exactly where Fløng are. But it looks like Fløng, they're going to go try to meet them here. Remember, Ornn engage, much easier to execute.
Natives. They
A
do
little
kind
split.
of want to fight this. Irolle does have the shockwave, but he has to find a 4k HP on the Drake. And Rolle Pengi, where did he go? He just disappeared. The Ornn misses. Did he try to score a goal in football? I don't know. But still, gone regardless. Smite is in the pit, and it is Shafty picking up the Drake. Rulle can't do anything about it. A 1-for-1. Rolle Pengi deleted. Bang still scored a goal, and Snille fell in the end.
Yeah, it was a 1-for-1, and as you mentioned here, when you get the Drake for Fløng, they're going to be more than happy with this exchange. They're also able to take down the jungler, which, just in terms of your priority targets, is higher up on the pecking order than the support. In terms of what comes after the Drake, it's not a right lot. We go back to our farming, our sort of disassociation with fights for the time being.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
And that's okay, because we're setting up here for there to be an absolute banger Baron fight.
And we can talk stories.
We
I
really
have
can.
loads of stories.
You go right ahead here, Duckling.
Okay, so you know what? I've talked so much about Danish players, right? But let's give Clogs some information, because Clogs has played 7 straight seasons of EBL. Do you know how long that is? That is years worth of staying true to his home country. And I find that beautiful. He also did play EU Masters play-ins back in 2019. That was at the start of the EBL, by the way. So he's played in the EBL for what, two and a half years?
3.5,
until he then joined.
probably.
3.5 until he then played for M&M back in summer with Joppa, and they smurfed, and they were insanely good, is what I've been told. So this is a banging matchup. Every single player here has story. Erol, someone who hasn't really been able to find success yet, hasn't had that much competitive experience, and Vangsted has experience in dying, and he likely goes down here. No, he might turn it around. 1v3 outplay would be a Vangsted play. Oh, he snipes him for 150 damage.
Big damage.
Big man. Okay.
Lundorf, go back, buy 2 crit cloaks. Go back, unironically, go back, sell your
Please go
corrupting
back.
potion and buy 2 crit cloak, because he's got the Infinity Edge right now, which, don't get me wrong, does do a lot of damage. He doesn't have enough for 2 crit cloaks. Unlucky. But he's not got the 60% critical strike chance needed to give the Infinity Edge passive its boost. So right now, he's sat on 35%. There it is.
Oh, he got it.
There we go. That's what I wanted to see.
It is honestly a disgusting build. He's full build now, pretty much.
It works. Now his Infinity Edge is turned on. It works now, and it's weird because this is actually the most cost-effective way to get to this point. This is 1,800 gold as opposed to, for example, 3,000, something along those lines that the Essence Reaver would have cost you. So it's the best way to get the maximum output of an Infinity Edge instead of just having to buy, those full 3 items first and then getting your Infinity Edge third on through. It's a good way to circumvent the 3 items that you allegedly needed prior when they changed Infinity Edge. This used to be just the stock standard build for GP when Triforce gave crit, way back when, but now we have to obviously adapt, overcome, and improvise our way into this new build, which Lundorf is quite happy to do.
Before we start hyping up the Baron or the next Drake, which is a soul point for both teams, I have time for yet another player insight. This time, we're looking at Bengi because I've talked about him being a very good player, and I've talked about how he is, in my opinion, the best Thresh in Denmark. But he is a player with a kind of a tragic history in terms of competitive play. He's always been on pretty good teams, but he's never been able to win a big thing. He's never been able to win the best league in Denmark. He's always come third, always come second. He joined Astralis Talent. That roster was supposed to, for summer split, or at the very least win the showdown, to be able to get wins. They did good in spring, but they didn't do good in summer. And I would kind of describe it as being always the bridesmaid, never the bride. He's always been second, always been third. Never quite been able to hold that trophy yet. And maybe, just maybe, this roster, if it all clicks, could be the one.
And in this game versus Nativz, to pull it back, I think they're in a really good spot to take it here. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but the late game team fighting of an Ornn, of an Orianna, of a Zeri here is really going to prove valuable. Something else that we're now just starting to get a little bit of a touch on is that, hey, we're reaching ornament stages. We've currently got Luden's Tempest here for our Orianna.
Oh, that is a good scat of the week. Honestly, Bengi might just be deleted yet again, and he does. The Ornn connects onto Joppa, and they commit, but they don't have the damage. Rolling now trades back onto Shafty. He goes golden, has to go out. Go for it, but goes forward. But it's enough. A 3-man shockwave. Erol, go for it. Can he get the hit? The lightning is gone, but he could almost take them all. Everyone disappears off the rift. Erol with a triple. Erol with a quadra kill, and that is the fight for Fløng.
One shockwave changes the fight. Fløng come out on top, ace their favor, and it's Erol that comes away with the glory. A beautiful shockwave, a beautiful team fight. Guffe, he goes down. He looks like he's about to get a pentakill. It's Erol that comes out with the quadra, and off of one team fight, we said it, that their composition thrives in the 5v5. They get the Baron, they get the team fight, and now what can they do with it? The Drake may well be forfeit, but let's have another look.
Let's look at the replay, baby.
Ready. Look at how good this looks, right? Nativz, they pick it. It's a 4v5. It's a 4v5 this entire time. Shafty even has a pretty bad kick, all things told. But I'm waiting. I'm pausing.
Yeah, that was very ballsy from Guffe. Shockwave, there it comes. Boom, and it gets blown off as well. The 2 main carries. But look how low they all are. Guffe jumps back in. No one dies other than Clocks. And boom, they just disappear. They just disappear off the rift.
It's a Luden's diff. Actually, Luden's down one. That is
why you buy Luden's children. Another fight, actually. We can't even get this set up. It is about the Drake. Klux is almost gone again. Lundorf does a lot of damage, but not to the Ornhorn. And another shockwave on both carries. Erol, how do you keep doing this? Shafty jumps after Jobber, sends him to his demise. And this might just be game 40 seconds on Nativz. This game was close 5 minutes ago, but it was an Erol diff. He has diffed the entirety of Nativz. Shockwave, time and time again. Fløng are doing it.
Duckling, this game was close 2 minutes ago. It has been 2 fights in the space of 2 minutes that have changed the course of the game for the good. Fløng, they're gonna win.
They're gonna win. Erol single-handedly just won them the game that quickly. What? That was not what I was expecting from this game. The first 25 minutes so close, 27 minutes even. But Fløng, they just pull the trigger and they win the game. Just like that. I love League of Legends.
Absolutely.
Man.
Absolutely incredible. That is what you love to see, honestly. Just so much build-up from the first 25 minutes, right? We were saying, okay, this, Nativz, they've got this really good early game composition. They've got this nice lead heading into this stage, but then Nativz not quite able to fully extend on that. And then Fløng, all of a sudden, with this team fighting composition, they just explode. And they explode Nativz, unfortunately, with one shockwaves that turns the fight. And what I love to see as well is their decisiveness, their ability to just close out a game. They get one Baron, they get one team fight, and the game's over.
Oh, what a beautiful game of League of Legends. And I am going to be 100% honest. If there was anyone to carry that Fløng roster, looking at the experience, looking at the story, it was not going to be Rolle. But he found it. He carried them yesterday on his pocket pick Cassiopeia. I can't even pronounce the name. I'm too hyped. But now on the Orianna of all things, I was looking at Gofe with the lightning crash. I was looking at the good Ornhorn. I was looking at the right kick. But I honestly didn't really count in the shockwave. And Erol shut my heart up. He closed the doors on that game within 2 presses of the R button. And a player that has never had any major success in the Danish scene just storms on some of the biggest Danish players we have in this era.
And it's easy to forget that an Ori can set herself up for shockwaves, particularly when you've got things like Lee Sin that can dive forward and set you up for one Ornn as well. But it's one thing to be set up for a shockwave, it's another to manufacture it yourself. And that's exactly what Erol did.
He carried that game.
Fight. He had the ball in the perfect positions. Finding an Oriole in a choke is easier to do, but when you do it in the mid lane, in the wide open, and you still hit 4, that just shows you the class and caliber of this player.
So, before we head into the break, I do want to say, there was the bet, I talked about it earlier. With this result, Danskman, aka head of League of Legends for Fløng, will not have to tattoo Nativz logo and Milo, the analyst of Nativz, on his body. He has a lot of tattoos already. He does need another one, for the time being at least. But the analyst for Nativz, Milo, will have to shave his beard. And apparently, he values that a lot, considering he waited it only for a tattoo. So it must mean a lot to him. Anyway, though, let's throw it to a break. We'll be back with 2 banging interviews. I have heard rumors about who will be joining us, so don't go anywhere.